I knew something was wrong the moment my daughter stopped looking me in the eyes. Maya had always been expressive, even with her limitations. Her smile came easily. Her emotions lived openly on her face, but that morning, she sat at the kitchen table, twisting the edge of her sweater. Her eyes fixed on the floor like it might swallow her whole. Before we begin, if you love deep, meaningful stories, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment as you listen, and share this story with someone who needs it. Maya, I said gently, placing a cup of tea in front of her. Are you feeling okay? She nodded too quickly. That was the first crack. Maya was 22, developmentally delayed since birth. She needed guidance, protection, patience. She trusted easily, loved deeply, and because of that, I had spent her entire life guarding her from a world that didn't always understand kindness without conditions. I was her mother, her shield, or at least I thought I was. Over the past few weeks, she had changed. She ate less, slept more, she flinched at touch. Sometimes I caught her standing in the doorway of my bedroom at night, watching me sleep like she was afraid I might disappear. And then there was the nausea. At first, I blamed medication side effects, stress, anxiety, anything that didn't make my heart race the way that thought did. Because no, that couldn't be it. That afternoon, while helping her fold laundry, she suddenly ran to the bathroom and vomited. I followed, holding her hair back, my hands shaking. Maya, I whispered, trying to keep my voice calm. Sweetheart, has something happened? She didn't answer. Her shoulders trembled. Then she said it. So softly I almost missed it. Mommy, please don't be mad. The room tilted. What do you mean? I asked, already knowing my life was about to split into before and after. She pressed her palms against her stomach. There's a baby, she said. I don't remember screaming, but I remember the sound. Raw, animal, broken, echoing in my ears. I remember gripping the sink to stay upright. I remember thinking, this is impossible. Maya didn't have the capacity to consent. She didn't even understand what pregnancy truly meant. So there was only one truth. Someone had failed her. Someone had taken advantage. Someone had been close. My husband, Daniel, was at work when I took Maya to the clinic. The test confirmed it. 12 weeks. 12 weeks I hadn't seen. 12 weeks of smiles I thought were normal. 12 weeks of trust misplaced. That night, Daniel held me as I cried. He looked shocked, concerned, angry even. We'll find out who did this, he said firmly. I swear. I wanted to believe him. But a mother's intuition doesn't shout. It whispers, and it never stops. Later that night, while Daniel slept, I sat alone in the living room replaying every moment, every missed sign. My gaze drifted toward his laptop on the desk. He never let anyone use it. Always password locked. Always face down. My heart pounded as I stood. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was exhausted. I told myself I was wrong. But my hands moved anyway. The laptop opened, and what I saw inside shattered me in ways I didn't know a human heart could survive. Folders, hidden files, dates, videos I could never unsee, evidence that made my blood run cold. The unthinkable wasn't just real. It had been living in my house, sharing my bed, calling me wife. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. The man I married wasn't who I thought he was. And my daughter had paid the price. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep them on the keyboard. For a moment, I told myself to close the laptop, to wake Daniel, to scream, to run, to pretend I had never touched it. Because once you see certain things, there is no going back, no unknowing. But I was a mother before I was a wife, and mothers don't look away. The desktop looked ordinary at first. Work folders, emails, spreadsheets, a life that appeared normal, respectable, safe. Then I noticed a folder buried deep inside another folder, its name deliberately boring. Archives 2019 to 2023. My stomach clenched. People who have nothing to hide don't hide things that carefully. I clicked. Inside were subfolders, dates, locations, file names that made no sense until my brain began connecting dots it desperately didn't want to connect. My breath came out in shallow gasps. I opened the first file. It was a chat log. Daniel's name was there, his username unmistakable. The tone was casual. Familiar. Too familiar. She trusts me completely. She doesn't even understand what's happening. It's easy when they depend on you. I slammed the laptop shut. I stood up, dizzy, my vision narrowing. The room felt too small, the walls pressing in like witnesses to my failure. I pressed my hands against my ears, as if that could silence the words now burned into my mind. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planning. I sat back down, slowly. Because if I stopped now, Maya would never be protected. And whatever strength I had left in me had to be enough. I opened the laptop again. There were videos. I did not open them. I couldn't. I wouldn't. But the thumbnails were enough. Familiar rooms, familiar furniture, my living room, my hallway, my home. I felt something inside me break, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. The man snoring softly in my bedroom down the hall was not just my husband. He was a stranger, worse. He was a monster who knew exactly how much we trusted him. I checked the dates again. The earliest one was 14 weeks ago. Maya was 12 weeks pregnant. The timeline aligned so perfectly it felt like mockery. My hands flew to my mouth as a sound escaped me, a sob I couldn't stop in time. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, soft, slow. I froze. The laptop was still open, the screen still glowing. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought it might betray me with its sound. Lena? Daniel's voice, close, too close. I turned slowly. He stood at the end of the hallway, rubbing his eyes, pretending to be half asleep. But something in his gaze had shifted, sharpened, focused. His eyes flicked to the laptop, then back to me. Time stretched. You couldn't sleep? He asked calmly. I wanted to attack him. I wanted to collapse. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I smiled. I don't know how I managed it. Just couldn't turn my brain off, I said. He walked closer. Every step felt like a countdown. My pulse roared in my ears as he leaned down, glanced at the screen, then gently closed the laptop. You should rest, he said softly. Tomorrow will be a long day. His hand rested on my shoulder. I didn't flinch. I didn't scream. But my entire body was screaming inside. As he walked back to the bedroom, my mind raced faster than my fear. He knew I had seen something. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat beside my daughter's bed, listening to her breathe, watching her chest rise and fall like proof she was still here, still mine, still alive. Mama? She whispered at one point, half asleep. I brushed her hair back gently. I'm here, sweetheart. Her eyes opened just enough to meet mine. He said not to tell, she murmured. My blood ran cold. Who did? I asked, my voice barely holding together. She swallowed. He said you'd be angry. He said he'd go away forever. My nails dug into my palms. Did he hurt you? I asked. Tears slid down her cheeks. He said it was love. That was the moment something inside me changed forever. Fear gave way to fury. Shock gave way to clarity. I understood then. This wasn't just about discovering the truth. It was about survival. Because the man I shared a bed with had already crossed every line, and I had no idea how far he was willing to go to protect his secrets. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't even breathe normally. Every second stretched like a wire pulled too tight. I watched my daughter's bedroom door, listened for every creak, every whisper, every sound that might signal Daniel was doing something unspeakable. And then, I heard it, a soft shuffle from the hallway. The kind of sound only a house you know too well can betray. I grabbed my phone, trembling, fingers slick with sweat. My thumb hovered over 911. The hallway light flickered. I didn't want to call. I needed proof. I needed to see for myself. I edged toward the living room, pressing myself against the wall, heart hammering in my ears. And then I saw him, Daniel, standing there, silent, watching, waiting. He didn't notice me at first. He was on his phone, scrolling, messaging, typing, smiling. That smile, the one I had once loved, the one I had trusted, it was gone now, replaced with calculation, malice. I saw a folder on the screen open, files named My Daughter, photos, videos, evidence. Every nerve in my body screamed. I wanted to throw something, to run, to vanish, but I couldn't. And then my phone slipped, a soft click echoed. Daniel froze. His head snapped toward me, and in that instant, everything changed. His face, once so familiar, so safe, twisted. "Lena?" he said slowly. The calm was gone. Only menace remained. "Why are you snooping?" I stepped out from the shadows. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded. Voice louder than I expected. He smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was terrifying. "You don't understand," he said. "You never did." I felt my stomach turn cold. Every story I had told myself, every lie I had ignored, collapsed in that moment. "You're going to regret this," he whispered, advancing a step. I didn't flinch, because at that moment, I realized something terrifying and liberating. I wasn't the same woman who had once believed in him blindly. I wasn't going to let him touch my daughter, and I wasn't going to be afraid. My hands were shaking, but I held my phone tightly. I had recordings, screenshots, every message, every trace of his betrayal. And for the first time, I felt power. But power comes with risk, because Daniel wasn't just a liar. He was dangerous. He knew my daughter. He knew my routines. He knew my weaknesses. And he wasn't going down without a fight. He lunged toward me, and for a terrifying second I thought, this could be the last night I saw my daughter awake. But I was faster, smarter, driven by every instinct that comes with being a mother. I dodged, I screamed, and I realized he didn't know I had already called the police. They were on their way. Every shadow, every footstep, every flicker of light in that hallway became a battlefield. And as he lunged again, rage in his eyes, I knew the truth. Tonight would either break us or finally set us free. The doorbell rang like a gunshot. My heart jumped into my throat. It was the police. They were here. Finally. Daniel froze, eyes wide, realizing in an instant that the carefully constructed world he had built around his lies was crumbling. I stepped forward, holding my phone like a shield. Every recording, every screenshot, every message was proof of everything. My hands no longer shook. They were steady, fueled by fear, rage, and love for my daughter. "Stay where you are," one officer said firmly as they entered, their flashlights cutting through the darkness of the house. Daniel laughed at first, nervously. "This is ridiculous. She's my wife." The officers ignored him, moving with precision. One stepped toward him, handcuffs at the ready. I watched, my chest tight, as the man I had once trusted, the man I had built a life with, was finally unmasked. The officers began questioning him, reading him his rights, but his eyes were locked on me, full of panic, rage, and disbelief. You can't do this. You'll ruin us," he shouted. I stepped closer. "You already ruined us," I said. "You ruined my daughter's life. You broke my trust. And you underestimated a mother who will do anything to protect her child." He looked away, his jaw tightening, his control slipping. And then the most shocking truth came out. As officers began uncovering hidden files, additional evidence revealed not only what he had done to Maya, but that he had been planning to cover it up for months, documenting everything to manipulate and silence us. My stomach twisted. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was deliberate, calculated, horrifying. Maya, who had been asleep in my sister's car outside, would never understand the full extent. But she would survive. Daniel was handcuffed, his composure gone. The man who had once called himself a father, a husband, was now exposed for the predator he truly was. I turned to the police, my voice trembling with exhaustion but also determination. "Do everything you can to protect her," I said. And then, for the first time since the nightmare began, I felt something lift, a glimmer of hope amid the ruins of betrayal. My daughter would be safe. I would rebuild our lives. And he would face justice for what he had done. As the officers led him away, I realized something profound. The darkness he brought into our home could not destroy the light that love and courage still held. I finally let myself breathe, because no matter the pain, no matter the betrayal, the bond between a mother and her child is stronger than any secret, any lie, any horror. And this night, as terrifying as it had been, marked the first step toward healing. The house was quiet, too quiet. For the first time in weeks, I could hear my own thoughts. Maya was asleep in my sister's guest room, safe and cared for. I sat on the couch, staring at the empty spot where Daniel had once sat, feeling a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and disbelief. The police had taken him away. The evidence was secured. But the emotional damage, oh, the emotional damage, was something no paperwork could fix. I thought about the nights I had comforted Maya, about the moments I had smiled at Daniel without knowing the darkness that lived behind his eyes. My hands trembled as I picked up my phone. There were countless messages to respond to. Family, friends, social workers. Each one was a reminder that our lives had been exposed, but also that help was on the way. And yet, amidst all the chaos, a small voice inside me whispered, "You survived this. You are stronger than you think." I knew I had to talk to Maya, to help her understand what had happened in a way she could process. She was young, vulnerable, and innocent, but she needed to know she had done nothing wrong. When she awoke, I held her close. Her wide eyes met mine, full of fear and questions she didn't yet have words for. "Mommy, is he gone?" she asked softly. "Yes, sweetheart, he's gone. And you're safe now," I whispered, stroking her hair. Tears streamed down both our faces, but this time they were tears of relief, not fear. The days that followed were a blur of medical appointments, counseling, and family support. Every step was a reminder of how fragile life could be and how resilient we had become. I learned that healing isn't about forgetting the betrayal or the pain. It's about facing it, embracing it, and choosing to move forward anyway. And slowly, I began to imagine a life beyond fear. A life where love could exist without betrayal, where trust could be rebuilt, and where my daughter could grow up knowing she was cherished, protected, and strong. Weeks turned into months. Daniel faced the consequences of his actions. Court dates were set. Investigations completed. Justice, slow and imperfect, began its course. Maya flourished with the support of family, therapy, and time. She smiled again, laughed again, and even learned to trust small kindnesses from the world around her. And I discovered a strength I never knew I possessed. I rebuilt our home, not just the walls, but the atmosphere. A home filled with laughter, creativity, and love. A home where fear and betrayal could no longer live. I began volunteering, helping other mothers who had faced abuse and betrayal. Sharing our story, I realized that the pain I endured could become a beacon for others. One evening, as I tucked Maya into bed, she whispered, "Mommy, will I always be safe?" I kissed her forehead, holding her a little longer than usual. "Yes, my love," I said, "always." And as I watched her drift to sleep, I knew that even after the darkest storms, there was always light. Even after betrayal, love could survive. Even after fear, courage could rise. And even after pain, A mother's bond with her child could never be broken. Our story had scars, yes, but it also had hope. Because in the end, the strength to survive and the courage to heal was ours. And that was a story worth telling. What would you do if you were in my place? Leave a comment down below and share this story so it can reach another heart. Thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe.